The town of Selidove has remained an important fortified area standing in the way of the Russian army's advance toward Pokrovsk. However, yesterday a Russian flag appeared on one of the high-rise buildings in the very center of the town. This building is located on Moskovskaya Street in the southern part of Selidove. Selidove is divided in half by the Solona River. While the river is small, there are a couple of reservoirs allowing us to distinguish between the southern and northern parts of the town. The flag I mentioned earlier was hung in the southern part, but there was another one. Here it is in the photo. You can see it clearly, but it appears to be a flag. It was also hung in the very center. There are no additional videos or photos confirming significant Russian military presence in the center of Selidove. However, it is evident that fighting is already underway in the town.
Нихуя себе, блядь! Вот ебать их кто дохуя, блядь! Валера, блядь, сзади дивись, щоб не вискочила обезьяна! Ебать их тут нахуй! Вот перекресток.
This is footage from the Ukrainian around vehicle Kozak 7. According to statements from some Russian channels, the offensive has advanced to Vishnyovo, all evacuation routes for the armed force of Ukraine. But these are just words. What is the reality? There are several videos showing Russian military forces that have broken through to the outskirts of Selidove, where they are being targeted by Ukrainian FPV drones. Recently, the 15th Karadak Operational Brigade was still defending the town. Here is what one of the brigade's fighters started yesterday, October 23rd.
Вечір станом на 23 жовтня 2024 року в зоні відповідальності 15-ї бригади Національної гвардії України, що перебуває на Покровському напрямку та безпосередньо здійснює заходи з оборони міста Selidove, ситуація залишається вкрай тяжка. Ворог від понеділка 21 жовтня не припиняє штурмові дії, які розпочав з масованої артилерійської підготовки по позиціям Сил оборони. Сьогодні зранку було передислоковано один із підрозділів Збройних сил Російської Федерації з північної ділянки Покровського фронту для підсилення атак саме міста Selidove. Ситуація тяжка. Силами оборони 15-ї бригадою та суміжними підрозділами вживаються всі заходи, максимально недопущення просування ворога вглиб міста та подальшого просування в напрямку міста Покровськ.
However, there have been some rather alarming signals from Ukrainian analysts. Here are two posts from Miroshnikov. The first is from October 22. Vishnyovo. Our soldiers are holding the lines. The enemy has not yet succeeded in a bypass maneuver to the north towards the highway to Pokrovsk. However, they are very close to cutting off the highway. In the north, there is pressure on the outskirts and the industrial area. In the eastern part of Selidove, the occupiers have advanced an additional 500 meters. And here is the next post from the evening of October 23rd. In Vishnyovo, the enemy has managed to advance to a depth of up to 300 meters. Heavy fighting continues in the northeast of Selidove. The occupiers have captured a small part of the industrial zone, but they have not yet established a foothold. Our guys are still holding position towards the highway, but they're being bombarded relentlessly. I don't know how much longer we can maintain this defense. The situation in the southern part of the city is no better. The enemy has fire control over the approach to Selidove from the direction of Grigorovka, Pustinka. Logistics are already extremely difficult, and this is just the beginning of the fighting for the city. Unfortunately, at this rate, Selidove could be lost very quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, and a miracle will happen, but the hopes are slim. His fears are understandable if you look at the map of the front around Selidove, data from October 22nd. It resembles the situation in Vuhledar, just before its capture. There are only 2 roads left from the AFU to exist, making the capture of the town seem inevitable. Later, I will explain how this situation arose and why the best option for the Ukrainian army might be to retreat from the city. Here is another post about the situation in Selidove from the perspective of a Ukrainian military officer. The situation in Selidove is bad, to put it mildly. After overcoming significant obstacles to reach the city, the enemy has begun to actively advance into residential areas and has already occupied half of the town. There is simply no one left to defend. Small groups of enemies are penetrating through our position, and when they encounter resistance, they bypass it. Another channel confirms the Russian traffic on infantry assault on the city. The situation in Selidove is assessed as grave. The enemy has had success in the eastern part of the city, managing to advance and establish a foothold in the residential sector. After their successes on the flanks, it became evident that they would soon push through the center, exacerbating the situation, and that moment has arrived. They are storming the city exclusively with infantry, like cockroaches scurrying from houses to house. Russian troops are trying to implement a similar strategy in Toretsk, but there the AFU defense is denser and there is no encirclement on the flanks. That's why they are holding on there. In Selidove, everything is much more complicated. As I mentioned, the city is defended by the 15th Karadag Brigade. Russian forces are the 140th Motorized Rifle Brigade, the 15th Motorized Rifle Brigade, units of the 27th Motorized Rifle Division, Territorial Defense units, and likely the 19th Tank Division. So, in the end, is the city captured? That seems very likely. The flags appearing in the center of Selidove suggest one simple reason. The Ukrainian force has withdrawn from the city just like they did in Vuhledar. Remember, back then there were a couple of flags, and soon after Russian soldiers were walking freely around the town. They carefully probed the area to see if the Ukrainians have truly left, and they don't give any warnings. By the time you watch this video, Selidove may already be fully captured. However, another scenario can't be ruled out. It could have been a small group that broke through the sparse Ukrainian force defenses in the town. The flag on the second building might have been brought by drone or perhaps hung by local sympathetic to the Russian army. In any case, even the breakthrough of a few soldiers carrying a flag indicates that the defense is weakening. Ultimately, this analysis may not matter much. Selidove can no longer be saved. The city is likely to fall due to earlier mistakes and problems. Let's discuss this further. Let's rewind to August 1918, when the Russian army approached Novgorodovka. The Pokrovsk offensive was in full swing, and the Ukrainian force, unable to secure a foothold, and Zhelanne was pushed back further. In less than a week, Novgorodovka fell, largely undefended due to confusion. There simply weren't enough forces or ready fortifications. The Russian military took the town almost intact, leaving Selydove without a northern flank. Later, Russian forces launched a larger attack and captured Ukrainsk, then Tsukurina. At the time, Selidove was firmly defended by the Karadak Brigade, which repelled attacks from Mikhailovka and even counterattacked Collapsing and Overpass. However, by early October, Selidove's southern flank had also fallen, and enemy forces had closed in front the north. The city was in a desperate situation. This is reminiscent of Vuhledar. There are two ways to respond. One can counterattack on the flank to push the enemy back, equalizing the front and securing the city's defense. But this requires significant forces, which the Ukrainian force simply does not have. The second option is to withdraw from the city or any positions that has fallen under threat. If civilians have been evacuated and there is no one left to defend, preserving fighting forces becomes their top priority. Urban combat would only lead to encirclement, capture, or death for the defenders, and the city would ultimately fall. I believe that AFU units are withdrawing from the city or have already done so. That's the most likely scenario. If they learned from the mistakes made in Vuhledar, they won't wait until the least moment again. In the counting days, perhaps even today, the situation will become clearer. But what's next? The AFU will likely attempt to regroup at Vishnyovo and Grigorovka. Also, it feels like they may not succeed. Most likely, they will pull back closer to Pokrovsk positions and Dachanskoye and Zhelanne to stabilize the front. Additionally, there are prepared fortifications somewhere, identified by analyst Clement Molin. Russian troops will continue to advance towards Pokrovsk. By winter, we can expect them to be at the city's borders. This doesn't mean that Pokrovsk will fall quickly or at all. The robust defense of Selidove has already served the Ukrainian force well by delaying the offensive. So, in any case, this is a small local victory for them. Meanwhile, the Russian army has captured another town, expanding the Pokrovsky Belch on the front toward Kurakhova. Just yesterday, military forces planted another flag in Izmailovka near Gornyak. This threatens to encircle Gornyak and indicates further movements south towards Kurakhova. Russian troops are attempting to cut off the Ukrainian force unit defending the strong Gornyak, Kurachovka, Alexandropol line. The tactics remains the same: force the AFU to withdraw, ceding territory to the enemy. With the fall of Selidove, the situation in the Pokrovsk direction may intensify once again. Recently, Russian troops have struggled to advance westward, but with another AFU defense line down, a relatively open space will emerge. It's crucial for the Ukrainian military not to lose focus and to consolidate effectively on the new borders. This is a basic principle, but given the ongoing command and coordination issues, it has previously led to problem. We'll see how the Karadak Brigade performs in this regard. The large-scale retreat in the Pokrovsk direction, following the fall of Avdeevka and the Ocheretensky breakthrough, is a direct consequence not only of Ukrainian force mistakes but also of a lack of equipment and ammunition, compounded by the Russian army's significant personal advantages. They are using these advantages ruthlessly, employing tactics that send waves on infantry into combat. These aggressive tactics are yielding result. Selidove is one such example. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts, say in the comments. This has been Jan Matveev. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time and good luck to you.